Hello everyone, welcome to week 27. This week, so many things have happened, and I have so many things to talk about. I'm not sure about the order that I'm talking, but I like to share most of the things that happened in the week and just came to my mind to talk with you what is happening in the world. Last week, there were peace talks happening between Iran and US. That is a good sign, but Israel doesn't seem like to agree with those things. In my videos, I probably talk about mostly US and Israel and Iran, and I wanna highlight some important things that I'm not talking about the people, the citizens in those countries. There are so much good people who doesn't like the way the world is evolving, but they don't have a choice, they don't have an option, they don't have a decision to make right now because mostly few people in those governments are making the decisions. So I'm talking about the people in those governments and their decisions, and I'm not talking about how the civilians, citizens are behaving in those countries. So if you belong to any country, Israel or America or China or Russia, you don't have to get offended because I am not talking about you. I'm talking about the leadership in those countries and the governing structures in those countries. Even during peace talks, what I heard is Trump, the president of America, saying if we don't have a deal by Wednesday, we will take military action. Is that how a leader should behave? Leader is supposed to talk, listen and listen, and come into an agreement where both the parties can benefit. Not only their country is benefiting. If you call yourself a superpower in the world, your job is not to be number one. Your job is to serve the world. Your job is to communicate with other countries and create much better ways so the people in those countries can survive and live happily. But a responsible person, the president of USA, saying if we don't have a deal by Wednesday, we will take military action. In this 21st century, students, civilians are learning about communication. They have degrees in the universities about communication and international relations. What's the purpose of those degrees even when a leader, a president, someone call himself the boss cannot talk peacefully, cannot have patience and talk? After few talks, if you get angry, if you get mad, that means even they are not in peace with themselves. They are struggling inside. While they are struggling inside, they're trying to make the peace in the world between countries. I should ask you, how will that be possible? When you can't control your emotions, how can you talk with other people who speak a different language, who have cultural differences? How can you talk with them and come into an agreement? When they are coming to a peace deal, Israel is attacking Hezbollah, Lebanon. They say they can't withdraw from Lebanon. And people ask what Israel is doing in Lebanon. Their excuse is that they are terrorists and they have to be eliminated. And when I search Google, when Hezbollah established, it says in 1982. And the reason it's mentioned in Google also because of the Israel invasion. Hezbollah was created, established after and because of the Israel invasion. That is what Google says. That's not something that I say. And when we talk about the peace deal, I want to share who went for the peace deal with Iran on behalf of US. J.D. Vance, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff. The funny thing is, there's a video online that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner talking about the reconstruction projects in Gaza even before October 7 attack, 2 years before the October 7 attack. Those people who are real estate agents that have planned for real estate projects are the ones who is going for peace deals. Imagine how much peace will be on earth when they are the ones talking about peace. While they are talking about peace, the managers, the real estate owners are talking about the peace. In London, there's a real estate event happening in synagogues for the lands in Gaza. The lands in Gaza near the beach goes for the highest bidder in synagogues. And that is how the peace deals are working in this world. So that means whoever have the most money can buy land, get those lands and invest in real estate projects in Gaza. And that is connected to capitalism as well. Who can buy land by bidding? People who have a lot of money, right? So who have a lot of money? Entrepreneurs, business people. So capitalism is that businesses, entrepreneurs are running businesses to distribute resources in the world. One of the bad side of capitalism I have seen is for capitalism to exist, there must be exploitation. That means to capitalist to exist, there must be poor people who are working for capitalism. If there's no poor people or middle class people working for capitalist, there can't be capitalist. So if there's a society that each and everyone has the right to live peacefully, have a house, financially free, access to healthcare, access to education, then how can a capitalist exist? If the resources, the money printed from your banks are distributed or people have access to those money in the flow of currency, they can just live peacefully. But right now, when countries are demanding capitalism, it means few people benefit from those laws, from those policies. And capitalism is directly attached to competition. From our young age, we are conditioned to compete against each other. We compete for being the number one in the class. If you are number one, you always had the pressure from your family or your parents to stay number one in the class, so you work hard. And it is the same principle that working for the countries in the world. If you are number one, you have to stay number one. Otherwise, you might feel like you are losing. But in this world, no one is losing or winning because each and every one of us have to go one day. Right now, people are fighting for land. But do you think is the owner for a land? I don't think so. We just write laws that this land is mine, this land is yours, this land is mine, this large land is mine. But over the centuries, the owners of the land change. Even you don't know who will own your land after 5,000 years. But still, while we are existing here, we are fighting for those lands. And all the drama we see is they're fighting for land. Take more and more land, make your country bigger, and do real estate projects for the people that supporting you and make them rich and create technologies to control ordinary people and make their lives harder. Even I have heard that Greek former Greek finance minister Yanis said that he met a guy who is working for Palantir, and he said mass displacement of Gaza, the data have helped so much in training AI systems. They were able to track the movement of people, how they are reacting for such destruction. Those data have used to train AI systems. When I talk about this, I can talk for hours because I feel like each and everything is connected because we are connected, right? Even from the tiniest particle in this universe, we are connected, and it is proven in science. And each and every action we take can create a butterfly effect in the world. Right now, so many people in the world, so much people who have money and power are competing to be number one, to be the best, to make more and more money to survive in this capitalist system because they know how much money they make that will be not enough because of the inflation. Governments are printing money all the time, so the billions of money they have can be very less in few years, and they feel like always they have less and they want to make more and more because they are conditioned to compete, they're conditioned to make money, they're conditioned to create wealth for over 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That's the only belief they have repeated in their life again and again. In the meantime, I saw another video that the security minister of Israel, Ben Gavir, says all Lebanon must burn. For each soldier who die from Hezbollah, 1,000 people must be dead. 1,000 people must weep. Is that the moral or ethical army in the world should behave? If they call themselves the most moral country, ethical country in the world that is fighting terrorists, do you think is that the mindset they should have? Do you think from that mindset they will ever create peace? Imagine they pass down those beliefs for their children. Imagine they maybe somehow fulfill their Greater Israel project. Do you think they can stop from there? Do you think they don't need more and more land for themselves? When you have some land, if you want more and more, imagine if they have achieved one of their goals, what will be the next? Do you think human mind can satisfy with one goal? When you have fulfilled one goal, the human mind needs more and more goals to fulfill because we have worked hard, we have used our energy and time to achieve one goal. So the mind is seeking for more goals. Imagine that kind of a mindset is spread through children, the children of Israel, the children who are exposed to those medias. Imagine the mindset that is created in their minds. Those people have power, but they might not talking with clarity, understanding. We don't know who they are having dinner with. We don't know what their agendas are. One of another person from Israel, Cohen, have said there might be a war with Egypt in 15 years. In 15 years, imagine how far they have thought. Imagine when you are passing away, you will pass those beliefs, you will pass those agendas to the next generation. Whoever helped you, whoever supported you, whoever surrounded by you, they will pass that beliefs into people who is surrounded by them, and they will carry out those plans because that's what they have seen, heard, repeated. Even the next generation, when they are surrounded by people like this, even those people absorb their beliefs and it become part of them. When you have financial gains, you will most probably act on them because that become your survival. You don't know another way to survive in this world. When you have practiced that way of survival, you want to keep repeating because that is the only way they know. While all this happening, while they are speaking in media, there are Zionist and anti-Zionist Jewish are fighting against each other in Israel. Most of the people don't see those news. Even the Israel government don't let those videos circulate in the internet. They don't want to show those in mainstream media because they want to show always the Israel is the most peaceful country in the world. But even the Jewish in Israel oppose genocide happening in Lebanon or in Gaza or all the wars. There are good people in there, but their opinion doesn't always appear on media. Why? Because who have the access to those media? Who is labeling some people as terrorists? If Hezbollah was established because of the invasion from Israel, do you think the men in Lebanon just do nothing and sleep in their houses when some people are invading their land? No, they have a backbone as well. They get together, they form an organization, and those organization is funded by some other countries, especially Iran. And when they are fighting against the resistance, not the resistance, they're fighting against the invasion from another country, the same people who are doing the invasion, if they can control the media, what they do is they go to the mainstream media and say, these people are terrorists. They are killing our soldiers. When, when our soldiers are in their land, they are killing our soldiers. So they are terrorists. They have to be eliminated. That is the excuse they are repeating over and over again. Because they have to provide the excuse for the people to get their support. They know the human psychology very well. Even in America, there was so much false flag operation. I can't remember the year. It's in Los Angeles or Chicago. They were Americans, I don't know, CIA or American military was carried out a false flag operation. They alarmed the city so they can get the support of the people to carry out a war against another country. Why they have to create a false flag operation to carry a war in another country? Because to fulfill their personal agendas, to fulfill their personal beliefs, or maybe to sell their weapons. If they create weapons and no one wants to use those weapons, what's the use of those weapons? And weapon manufacturing is the best product that you can sell for higher prices. And when they sell that, your GDP goes up and up. And when their GDP goes up and up with the same money they have printed in their banks out of thin air, they call themselves they are a first world country. And who countries who don't have dollars to buy resources from other countries, they label them as third world countries. So how can you label a country first world country and third world country or second world country based on the dollars you can have? Is that the definition we give to first world civilization or third world civilization? In my opinion, first world or third world civilization should be measured by the well-being of the people, not by the GDP, not by how much money you can print, or not by how much products you can sell. It should be measured through the well-being of people. Are your citizens have health care? Are your citizens have good education? Are your citizens can sleep peacefully? Even in America, they don't have health care. Even their education, the same people are blaming that when you finish a degree, every students are in debt and they have to work their life to pay off that debt till that they keep repeating a cycle of survival. And imagine to pay off those debts, you have repeated the cycle, and when you done paying off that debt, that is the cycle, that is the way of survival. You know, you have repeated, you have conditions, and you don't see another way of survival, so you stick to that way of survival. You keep going to work, keep making money, keep paying bills, keep paying your debts, and without you even knowing, you grow old. When you grow old, maybe you have a superannuation or pension fund. Even those pension funds are used to create data centers. The problem, you can realize, you can match, you can connect the dots I am saying, right? Even Jeff Bezos have said he will invest in data centers and AI other than humans. They see no future for humans living in peace, living in harmony, living in fulfillment. Other than that, they are thinking about how they can make more and more money creating better infrastructure for AI or developing technology. Is that what people want? It's beneficial for us to have technology to make our life easy, but technology should not exceed more than the human well-being. The first priority of the countries, the world leaders, the organizations must be the well-being of the people. They can do anything after people are taken care of. That is why we appoint leaders into those positions, but they have forgotten the job description. So, as citizens, as ordinary people, what we can do is we have to remind them the job description of the leaders. Unless we remind them the job description, they will provide excuses in the media to justify the invasion, the wars, and they will keep selling their most expensive products and their GDP will go up. The weapon manufacturers will make money and the real estate agents will carry out their projects from the destruction happening in the lands. And while they are doing it, there are more than 120 people who are displaced in the world. You can search this on internet and see for yourself. You can search anything on Google and connect the dots. Right now, it says global displacement reaches 120 million plus. In those 120 million, there are 41.6 refugees, 41.6 million refugees, and 68.7 million internally displaced people who have lost their homes, who have to flee from people who are carrying weapons and trying and looking for terrorists. And there are 9 million asylum seekers. That means they are seeking residency in some other country, something like that. And there are 5.4 million newly forced to flee in 2025. In 2025 alone, there are 5.4 million people are forced to flee from their homes, from their lands. Why? Because of the human nature of competence. Is that why? When all this happening in the world, no one seems to care about what is happening in Cuba, what is happening in Venezuela, what is happening in Sudan, what is happening in Myanmar, what is happening in Congo. Have you seen the mainstream media reporting those news? No. Why? Because media doesn't show you what you want to see. Media shows you what they want you to see. The people who have access to media, who can create the narration, who have most money. With money, you can have influence. You can buy people. You can buy people from millions of money that printed from just thin air. So, who is there talking about the people who are suffering in those countries? Have you seen any leader come to the media and talk about those people? Do they have a solution for those people? No. Most of the people only cared about their survival, their beliefs. That's what they are repeating in the media, not the whole truth. Some part of the truth they believe is true. Some part of the truth they believe that is true. But that truth is maybe only believable for themselves. But we have given them the opportunity to be in media to represent us. Maybe they are representing the beliefs of you, but that is not the majority of people have in mind. Most of the people in the world want peace. Even they can't think of a way because they are busy surviving. When you're looking for food, when you're looking for shelter, when you're looking for safety, when you're looking for healthcare, when you're looking for education for your children, people don't have time to think about how to have peace on earth. They don't have time to have access the news what is happening all over the world and connects the dot because we don't know what kind of media they are exposed to. And from what they are exposed to, they just create their opinions. And most of the media is tend to divide people, create hatred, because divided people are easy to control. But something we got to understand is a human who is Jewish or Palestine or Ukraine or Russia, American or Chinese, Indian, all the humans are just like you and me. How can there be chosen people that each and every human breathe the same air? How can there can be chosen people in the world? It is just another ideology that is keep repeating in the media. So when something repeated, your mind is tend to believe that is true. And in this world there are millions of people believe those opinions that is repeated on media. And I saw another news that you can search on Google or find out for yourself that in 1871 banks have incorporated US. That means they have said that the banks have come together and created the corporation of US and Chicago, oh not Chicago, Columbia, state of Columbia become their center of that corporation. You can find more about that by searching the Google. I'm not gonna say because I don't have the facts to talk with you. And in 1989, CIA officer John Stockwell have said that CIA has interfered with over 20 countries to topple the democratic governments, and they have vastly helped to manipulate elections and create wars with minority and majority of those countries. When you give millions of dollars for minority, you can embedded your beliefs, hatred into their minds, and you give weapons or technology facilities for them to fight against the majority. So when the governments can't handle those conflicts, the leadership falls. When those happen, those countries fails economically. Most people starve, most people face the consequences. They then protest with governments because most of the ordinary people don't know the influence that is happened by US to those countries, because they won't let the ordinary people in those countries get those news, get those information. What they see is the appointed leader is not doing the job. Appointed leaders can't maintain the peace in their country with all the ethnic groups, and the ordinary people create hatred towards the elected leaders in those countries. And those countries, when there's no proper leadership in the country, they will go downwards economically, financially and socially. When those happens, US can come to the media and see these countries can't even survive. This leadership is very bad. They don't know what they are doing. Just follow us. We are the best. We know what we are doing. We are doing best for all the people in the world. We are the peacemakers in the world. That is how they shape the narration. You can search anything on Google and think for yourself. You have a brain, you have the ability to think critically, so you can connect the dot and think for yourself. While all those things happening in the world, interesting story is what is happening in the Australia. Right now, most of the Australians are tired of Labour and Liberal Party, the main two parties in Australia. Just like Democratic and Republican parties in America, in Australia there are two main parties who prime ministers have elected. The two main parties are Liberal and Labour parties. And over the years, people have listened to their promises and now they are tired of it. When people are tired of both the parties that is running the country for long time, what happened inside them is they create a hatred towards both the parties, because both the parties have came to power, they have given promises and people have believed those promises and no one could deliver those promises. When that happens, they, human, psychologically, they turn into other options they have. It is happened in Sri Lanka as well. In Sri Lanka, there were two major parties that is running the country for nearly 70 years, and people were tired of those promises. And in 2022, people have come to the street and sent their president home. And when that happened, there were another election in 2024, and people have decided we have given chances to both these parties. The both people come to the media and give promises, and we all were manipulated. So let's give a chance to the third party. And in 2024, the third party came to the power, and now they are the one running the country. Just like that, it is happening in Australia right now. Australians are tired of Liberal and Labour Party. Now they are turning to another party, that like the third party that is running in Australia. That is One Nation. The leader of those in that party is Pauline Hanson. Most of the Australians I have talked with, even they are saying her policies, her ideas are so crazy. I don't know why people are turning for her. That is psychological. Why people are turning for Pauline Hanson is psychological. When people are tired of both the major parties that is running the country, the government, and no one could deliver the promises, people lose the trust between both the parties and they turn for the third party. So whoever is there as the third party, we don't try to see, we don't try to think what their policies, is it good or bad. All they want to do is to teach a lesson for that major two parties, and that is what happening in Australia. In recent days, Pauline Hanson have said that Australia is not a multicultural country, and many Australian citizens are people who are migrated from other countries. Why they do that? Why she say that? Because it's easy to blame the immigrants. For any problem in the country, it is easy to blame the immigrants because maybe they don't want to address the real issue or they don't know the real issue. All they want is popularity. To gain the popularity, they will talk about any hot topic that can create division or can unite some people together. Even when those things happening, Australian billionaire, a woman, have said that she wants to give free land for Israel government, the military, to create more and more weapons. When people are struggling to survive, they only think about creating weapons. Why? Because they can make more money. Their only focus have been money. From the things that happening in Australia, I want to tell you is, when you can't trust both the parties running your country for so long years, it is psychological to turn to the third party to teach a lesson for other two parties. But that is not the way we got to evolve. If the current leadership is not suitable to run a government, to create infrastructure, systems for people to survive, citizens, ordinary people should think what kind of leaders we need, what kind of leaders can properly understand the job description, properly understand the responsibility of being a leader, prime minister or president, and think about it. And we have to create leaders who are best suitable, best trained for that position, not just blindly turn to the third party. If humans have more time, I don't know what it means by more time, but if humans critically think, if they think consciously, they won't turn to a third party just because they want to teach a lesson to other two parties. Because humans are evolving. We always want to do better and better. So if the current leadership is not doing the best. Do you think the third party who is being the third party for so long and still who is conditioned from the same existing system can create a better leader? No. What will happen is we still get manipulated for another 4 years in our precious life, in our precious time. That is what happening. So before that, so before that happens, we got to think what kind of leaders will think about millions of people, prioritize millions of people, care about millions of people, and create systems to distribute, manage resources among people so people can live peacefully, happily, and fulfilled. Only that is possible by creating leaders, because leaders are not gonna create it automatically the way you want. Leaders are gonna create it by existing systems, and these existing systems are the ones that we are not accepting. So if we are not accepting, we got to think what kind of leaders we need, and we got to prioritize our time and effort and the skills and the knowledge in the world to create better leaders. There's so much knowledge about emotional intelligence, about communication, how to resolve a conflict, how to communicate properly, listen, and come into an agreement where both the parties can benefit, the financial knowledge, distribution, management. We don't have to learn to the maximum in those areas. If we have a rough idea about human psychology and how systems work, we can create systems for us to survive. There are enough resources in this world. The job of the leaders is to distribute those resources, manage those resources for people to have access, and they can live and thrive in this world while you are living here for a short period of time. But right now, we are competing, we are fighting to be number one, to have more and more resources for ourselves, for our friends, to collect so they can be the richest people in the world, or they can have the most influence. That is the current mindset of world leaders and governments, and that is what we should change. If more and more people understand, connect the dots, and critically think, we can consciously create much better leaders. Not even though we can't do it for next 4 5 years, we can do for next 20 years. Imagine by 2050 what kind of leaders the world will see. Imagine the things they can do for you to survive easily, doing less work, spending more time with family, having more free time. Even slaves 100 years ago had more free time. But right now we are running and running for survival, and in our spare time we distracted in entertainment. It's good, nah? So if you like that way, you can keep repeating these cycles. But if you don't like that way, we can consciously create leaders. We can think. Humans have the ability to think. For think about yourself. If you don't want to think about yourself, at least think about your children, the next generation. What kind of a world you want to leave for them to live happily, peacefully, and thrive and feel fulfilled internally, to have control internally, to have power internally, not externally. When people looking for power, control externally, you can see what is happening when you turn on the TV. So my friend, it is time for you to think, and think. Thank you.